Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. Just a couple of quick announcements. Really not much, but last week, if you weren't here, we had a great service with a guest speaker. And I just encourage you to check it out on our Facebook or YouTube channel because it was really, really good. And also last weekend, we had a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, a silent retreat here with the Art of Living. We had between volunteers and participants, about 25 people living here for 4 days, and it was amazing. If you want any more information about Art of Living, I'd love to tell you about it. Carol joined us for 4 days last weekend, and it was great. So you can talk now. Oh, believe me, she's been talking this week. So. All right, that's about it. Thank you much. Edit that part off the camera. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
If you will join me for affirmative prayer. In this sacred container of love and community, we give thanks that the presence of God is already here. So we allow ourselves to decrease and tune in to the still small voice, allowing it to take precedent, not just in this service, but also in our lives. We affirm that this service is in divine order and all that are here are blessed. We speak blessings on those that are tuning in online and on the week ahead. And we affirm that all is in divine order. Collectively we say, and so it is. Amen.
For our meditation this morning, I invite you to assume whatever position works for you as far as your body, so that it's not a distraction. And begin to tune into your breath, just paying attention to it. And now emphasize your exhalation and allow your inhalation just to come in without any effort. Just take a few breaths that way, fully exhaling as much as you can, and then just allowing the in-breath. Breath is much more than just air, oxygen coming in and out. In the Hindu tradition, they call it prana, and that's the life force that comes in with breath. And the alchemists break this prana down into the 5 alchemical elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And this morning we'll work with the element of fire. And the element of fire, the breath for that is breathing in through the mouth and out through the nose. In through the mouth and out through the nose. Just a normal breath, not emphasizing either inhalation or exhalation. And direct this exhalation toward your heart chakra in the center of your chest. And as you do this breath of fire, on your exhalation into the heart, in through the mouth and out through the nose, into your heart. See your heart as beginning to glow with the fire. And with each breath in through the mouth and out through the nose into the heart, that fire grows, becomes brighter and brighter. In through the mouth, out through the nose, brighter and brighter, until it grows. And then just see it as enveloping yourself with the light of the heart. And as that light grows with each breath, your light mingles with the light of your neighbor. With each breath, this light grows brighter and stronger, more vibrant. Consuming our attention. And this light of the heart is the light, is the Christ light. Christ light. Just allow it to grow brighter and brighter with each breath. This is the light of the illuminated souls. When an illuminated soul enters a room, everyone feels it, whether they know it or not. As this light grows and grows, fills this whole building, fills the block. This is the light of unity, the love light. This is the light we need to focus on as many minutes of the day as we can, focusing on the unity of love. That unity we know is our true being and is the truth of humanity that can become veiled. Keep that light glowing brighter and brighter. When power leads and wisdom follows, the face of wisdom is veiled and she stumbles. When wisdom leads and power follows, they both arrive safely at their destination. Keep this light of wisdom alive with every breath. Now take a deep breath through the nose, out the nose. And come back to your normal breathing. But hang on to this feeling in your hearts and take it with you everywhere.
In that same energy, just stay right there with me. As the heart flowers. Just rest in this moment as a spiritual community. William Blake says, we are led to believe a lie when we look with and not through the eye of that which was born in the night to perish in the night, while the soul sleeps in beams of light. In this moment, as the soul is awakening from its slumber, which is a natural progression of the human experience, may the light of the heart and the light of the soul illuminate our eyes so that we may see the world in all of its glory and see humanity awaken to infinite potential. Take a deep breath into the nose, release the sound of releasing and letting go, allowing the presence of God, divine wisdom, to guide us in a way that it hasn't before. And so it is. And so it is. If you will, rub your hands together. Let's send this energy to those that are watching online. Point at the camera, say this with me. Divine love in us blesses and multiplies all that you hear and all that you see. Know in this moment you are safe and loved. And so it is. Our ministry is supported by partners like you. Remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. Moderators are always on standby before and after the service. So wherever you hear this message, on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, make sure you post your comments and we will pray for you. And for those that are in the house, we do have our prayer chaplains as designated by Purple. Put your hands together for all of our prayer chaplains here in the house. And for our first-time visitors, we do acknowledge you and we thank you for visiting us. And routine visitors, put your hands together for our visitors. And our dear brother in the back, yes. And for those that would like more information about the ministry, we do have pamphlets in the back that give you our principles and just more information about what we have going on in the Temple of Love called Unity of Birmingham. Amen. Good morning, family.
Good morning.
God, it's good to be back in the household of good, the house of faith, with a community of like-minded people. Put your hands together just for that. Because safe spaces are being challenged these days. But I am confident that, like Dr. King says, that although the road is long, the arc of truth bends towards justice. And as that William Blake quote, we are led to believe a lie when we look with and not through the eye. It's the presence of God that lets us look through and see the possible, to hear the things that come up as prayer requests, and not to take the bypass, but to stare directly at them until we can see them for what they are. And then we can make that deep call, the call to conscience, the appeal to wisdom, the appeal to spirit, the appeal to what Dr. Cornell West says, truth and justice, or the appeal to divine love, because it is love that is the epitome of truth and justice. In fact, Dr. West says that love is what truth and justice looks like in public. And we do that every time we come together. People from different places, different regions of Alabama. You probably shop together. You may not have bumped into each other in the grocery store. But Spirit brought you here, and it shows the potential for those that are watching online. Spirit brought you to that channel, and it shows you what God can do if we but as a people let God lead. If my people who are called by my name humble themselves and seek my face. Well, where is the face of God? I'm glad you asked. Every time you look in the mirror, Meister Eckhart said, the eye by which I see God is the same eye by which God sees me. So our challenge is to lift up that eye, to see through the eyes of God, to see our lives through the vision and the potential of the person that we wish to become, and then project that outward into the world and live a life full and free of love and wonder and possibility, and then become a safe haven for those that are seeking that same awareness. That's why I want to encourage you on this morning, do not be dismayed by the stuff that arises in the news. Don't be dismayed by the stuff that you see in the general public, because the spiritual work that you do appeals to the still small voice, the voice of conscience that's embedded in all of humanity. And like the tide, the way that it turns, the voice of the public, the awareness, the consciousness that seems like it's the dominant idea, it too will turn if you but so turn towards love and plant that seed one person at a time. If you really needed to know why you were here, why you were born, what's your calling, what is Spirit calling you to do, all you got to do is turn on the news. And then you are reminded why you were sent to this generation. You are reminded why you are alive today. Your ancestors called upon you to be alive for such a time as this, to help awaken the consciousness of the planet. Put your hands together for that. And it's a tough work, and it's a strong work that we do. And I don't take it lightly, which is why today's topic is the still small voice. Say this with me, the still small voice. And it's really, really simple, but it's important. Because when you look out into the world and then the world doesn't reflect that consciousness that you possess back at you, where do you turn? And our ancestors, our spiritual ancestors told us to turn within. Because when we identify with the face of God within, we can find comfort and we can find safety and peace and tranquility. And then we project that energy outward and we become those things for other people. In other words, we become walking and talking containers for hope, walking and talking containers for possibility, walking tabernacles, as the old folks used to say, not made by man's hands.
Amen.
Y'all remember that? And you do that one person at a time. Yeah, my grandmother raised me right. You do that one person at a time. To sort of get to my point this morning, I want to point your attention at a scriptural text. And normally I take my time and kind of build, but I want to build quickly into the text to tie it to the message. And the text is from the book of 1 Kings, the 19th chapter. And the main character in that 19th chapter is an individual by the name of Elijah. Elijah wasn't a popular individual. In fact, some say he was mean and grumpy, and he had some things that weren't too celebrated in society. He wore strange clothing, had strange hair, and ate strange food, but he had a loud voice. And what's interesting about that individual is that as human as he was with all of his flaws, sacred text says that he walked with spirit so much until he was transported out of his human existence. And given the name Sandalphon in mystical literature, you might not find it in the 66 books of the Bible, but his mystical name was Sandalphon. He was sort of renamed. So he had a divine quality and he had a human quality. Doesn't that sound a lot like us? We can be both human and divine at the same time. Which is why when you listen to this message on the playback and you allow my words to sort of penetrate your ears, the first thing I want to do is invite you into a moment where you give yourself grace, where you give yourself the grace to be human, and where you are willing not necessarily to excuse wrongdoing, but you are willing to say like Jesus, Spirit, forgive them because they're asleep. Or Spirit, forgive them because they know not what they're doing. Or in the words of my grandmother, Jesus went to hell, so when you go there too, don't complain. And Jesus' descent into hell wasn't so that we wouldn't have to go. His descent into hell was to show us how we can walk through it and still make it out alive. So this work that we do, folks, this is the reason why we're here. And so Elijah, both human and divine, in the 19th chapter of the book of 1 Kings, caused a bit of trouble. Now, here's the history part. Scholars today aren't quite sure who wrote the book of 1 Kings. We attribute it to Ezra. Everybody remembers Ezra. Ezra was granted clemency to go and take a group of people, about 700 of them, to help to sort of raise the spiritual consciousness of his people. And so the story took place in the 9th century BCE, but it was written sometime later. And the story goes in that 19th chapter that Elijah was feeling some kind of way because of the public opinion that was predominant during his day. And so he made a public declaration and challenged those who differed from him. And in that challenge, he said, you bring your prophets and I'll bring myself, and then we'll see who the true deity is. And according to sacred text, he won. He won. And then, because the fight or the plight was so strong, so strenuous, he ran because a warrant was issued for his arrest. I got to tell you, folks, we're living in interesting times where even spiritual messages are coming under scrutiny. And so Elijah ran to the cave and hid because there was a warrant out for his arrest. And sacred text says in 1 Kings chapter 19 that there was a fire, and there was a wind and a tornado. And after all of the back and forth, he heard a still small voice. And the still small voice asked him, what are you doing here? Which is sort of my main point. That what are you doing question is an important question throughout Scripture. And it's the same sort of question that the presence of God asked Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis, if you remember. And it's sort of the same question that the presence of God asked the prophet Samuel, if you remember. And Samuel's reply was, Hineni, here I am. And it's sort of the same question that our ancestors and that the presence of God asks us today, especially as being human people who are both human and divine. Where are we as a people? What are we doing here? Why are we having these sort of challenges? Why are we having these kind of issues? in society. Maya Angelou wrote a poem, and just to kind of shorten it, she says, I know why the caged bird sings. The caged bird sings not because it has an answer, but because it has a song. We might not have all of the answers to the plights and the things that arise within society. We might not have all of the answers to the things that arise in our personal lives. But Spirit, I don't think, is asking us to provide a perfect answer, especially not today. I think that the spiritual thing to do today is to provide a song, to provide a possible solution, to provide hope, to try something, to show people a different way, to do what Jesus says and turn the other cheek. Turning the other cheek isn't a passive act. It's actually an act of resistance. Turning the other cheek is about finding a new perspective. In other words, when society moans and groans and prays and there's calamity that happens out in the world, you may not have the solution, but you know how to pray. You know how to meditate. You know how to practice love. You know how to be a safe space and a safe haven for people. You know that in spite of your political differences, you know what love feels like. And you know the fact that there may be differences between us, but we still bleed. We're still human. So I guess my appeal today is to appeal to your conscience. The still small voice isn't the voice of this ethereal, not able to grasp spiritual presence that we call God. We call it spirituality because it moves through the human spirit. And you can't move through the human spirit without touching the human heart. So my question today, not in an accusatory way, but I'm right here with you. Where are we as people? Where are we? And I'll tell you where we are. We're in a growth spurt. We're in a growth spurt. Growth spurts aren't pretty. Growth spurts make us feel uncomfortable at times because, like Bishop Cedric said on last week, they call us out of our comfortable things. They call us out of our nice cars, and they call us out of the income that we've established, and they call us out of our retirement, and they make us look at things that we would rather not see. So my second invitation is that if you are willing to stand with me shoulder to shoulder and hold the gaze and appear or gaze into the darkness, you'll find that it won't hurt you. You'll find that your eyes will adjust. And during those times in your life where you feel like you are the only one, when you tune into the still small voice, you'll find that there are others right there with you, waiting on the day that the lights come on. But here's the interesting spiritual part. When the lights come on, they don't come on from the outside. The lights come on from within. When Elijah had that conversation with Spirit in the cave, warrant out for his arrest, who's all been there? Make sure you pay your traffic tickets. Elijah said, hey, I'm the only one out here doing this work. And we can feel like that. We can have this exceptionalism sometimes because of our spirituality. We can feel because we are a progressive church, we're a progressive movement, we're an inclusive movement, that we've completed our journey. But in the words of one of our elders, we are always on the journey, always on the journey, never arriving, always on the journey, because there's always work to do. So the presence of God spoke to Elijah within himself and said, you're looking at the 400, but there are 7,000 people who are just like you, who walk like you, talk like you, who share your ideals, who are focused on truth, love, and justice, who have not bowed their heads to a different opinion. And you know what Elijah did next? When he realized that he wasn't by himself. Because that's the thing, the still small voice, it calls us and it convicts us. It opens our eyes and shows us possibility. Then it reminds us that we are not alone. So during those times in our life when we feel like we're alone, don't beat yourself up, give yourself grace. But then in that same moment, open your eyes even wider. See yourself and see your life through the eyes of God. and know that there are others with you. Because the next thing that Elijah did, guess what he did? He went and found a team. He went and grabbed Elisha. He went and grabbed the school of the prophets. And they began a process of succession where when one completed their journey, there was another there to replace it. Or in the words of Elijah to Elisha, you can have this mantle if you see me when I go up. Because it takes a team. Spiritual practice can sound like at times a very individual journey. And it is. Because as individuals, we have to do the work. We have to get up and pray. Or we have to sit on our mats and meditate. We have to pause our schedule. God knows I'm one of them. I can't do it. I ain't got time. I'm busy. But at the same time, my grandmother, my mother used to say, it takes a village. So when the still small voice is speaking to you, know that it's also speaking to you and you and you. Although we hear it in different languages, we hear it in different ways, in different vernacular. Some of us hear it with ebonics. It is still saying the same thing. Where are you? Reminding you that you are not alone. Telling you to get on up from here. To stare into the darkness. Your eyes will adjust. And that the light that you're waiting to dawn within the day is already dawned within your hearts. And if you look around, there are others there too. Knowing that although weeping may endure for a night, joy always comes in the morning. All you have to do, hear this in this message, is hold out until the morning. Whenever you are experiencing displeasure, whenever you are experiencing frustration, when you turn on the news and it gets you down, when you are frustrated with humanity, when you've lost all hope, if you can hang out until the morning, if you can hold on, the presence of God that is both in you, with you, as you, in the words of Michael Beckwith, the presence of God that is always present as a presence and it's never an absence. Not an absentee stepfather. It will allow the dawn to happen because there are people there wishing, hoping, praying for it to happen. In the words of Abraham, concerning the Abraham and Lot story, will you spare the city if there are but one righteous folk? If there are but two righteous people? How about three? How about four? How about five? And the answer to that is in God's conversation with Elijah. You're looking at 400. There are 7,000. My personal request as a minister is that those metaphorical 7,000 at some point in life, especially in this life, see, feel, and meet each other. So you have siblings that you know not of and know it wasn't your daddy's fault. You have friends that you know not of. You have colleagues and comrades on this journey. You can never be alone. It's why people like Myrtle Fillmore in her healing letters, that first passage, she says, I would like to come in and have a talk with you like a wise grandmother. Let me sit down for a second. Let us put aside all of the discussion that has not made us happy or made us feel like God is all in all. In other words, let us put this aside temporarily because you're not by yourself. You are never alone, even in your darkest moments. So as I bring this message, very brief message, to a close, tune into the still small voice because that is what our practices guide us into. Our meditation reaffirms who we are, individually and also externally. And we never meditate alone, although we feel like we do. We always meditate in company because when you sit on your mat, there are other people around the world that are sitting on their mat too. Tune into that voice, and it will lead you and guide you into all truth. And that truth is, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And that if you stare into the darkness long enough, you will see the truth that the light of day will dawn. Thank you for listening. Peace and blessings. our offering. For those of you that give online, remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. For those that give in-house, our ushers are making their way forward to collect the offering while LaDonna gives us a special selection. Take it away, LaDonna.
Okay, so it's funny how when I prepare, I never know what Jesse's going to do. And thank you for that message. But it's interesting how intuition always tells me what to do anyway. And so the still small voice telling me to do this song. So here we go. Because I think it really is part of this message. Get organized here. What's it all about? Is it just for the moment we live? What's it all about when you sort it out? Are we meant to take more than we give? Or are we meant to be kind? Only fools are kind. Then I guess it is wise to be cruel. And if life belongs only to the strong, what will you lend on an old golden road? As sure as I believe there's a heaven above, I know there's something much more, something even non-believers can believe in. I believe in love. Without love, we just exist. Until we find that love is missing, you're nothing. When you walk, let your heart lead the way, and you'll find love every day.
That's our offering, if you will. Point your hands in the direction of the offering basket. Say this with me. We bless this offering, affirming it will be used for the building of this ministry. We bless the givers. We declare their gifts will return back to them. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Put your hands together one more time.
All right, if I can get everyone to stand so we can do our song. guides us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.